All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
I'm Garrett Bergquist, government reporter for Wish TV and the producer of All Indiana Politics. The FBI Indianapolis field office has a new leader. Timothy O'Malley was named Special Agent in Charge on May 20th. He will lead an office that covers the entire state of Indiana. O'Malley is a Notre Dame graduate. He has spent more than 20 years with the Bureau. His past assignments include stints with the Honolulu Field Office SWAT Team, the White Collar Crime and Corruption Squad in Columbia, South Carolina, and international postings in Romania and Australia. I sat down with him at the FBI field office on the north side of Indianapolis. We discussed the FBI's expanded immigration enforcement role, the rise in anti-Semitic incidents, and what he views as the number one public safety threat in central Indiana. And with us now is Timothy O'Malley, the new Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Indianapolis field office. Agent O'Malley, thank you for letting us come in today.
Oh, you're welcome, Garrett. Nice to meet you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What led you to join the Bureau?
Sure. I'm a lawyer by trade. I went to law school, and when I was a kid, I took the FBI tour in Washington, D.C., and I always thought that would be something I'd want to pursue. So I did go to law school with the thought that maybe I could pursue that path after law school, and which I did. And it turned out that I got into the FBI and started a long career back in 2001.
How does it feel to be taking the role of SAC of the Indianapolis field office?
It's a great honor to come to Indiana and have a whole state, territory as large as the state of Indiana, to have a great field office where there's many dedicated professionals who are very mission focused, very oriented towards making our community safer. Just a talented group of people here in Indiana and in the Indianapolis field office. So it's a great honor.
How do you view the FBI Indianapolis field office's role in terms of day-to-day safety on the streets of central Indiana?
Absolutely. I would say that probably the primary focus right now is with violent crime. Our new Director Kash Patel, has made it one of his priorities to have the Bureau focus a lot of our effort on making our community safer. And that, of course, leads to addressing the violent crime problem. So on a day-to-day basis, we have agents working in relationship or in concert with other federal partners and state and local partners to address gangs, drug trafficking, weapons trafficking, the things that really have an impact directly on our communities. So my team here is very much focused on that, along with many other priorities as well.
And that does lead me into my next question. What do you view as the top public safety threats, specifically here in central Indiana, and what will this office's role be in combating it under your leadership?
I would say that the number one priority right now is violent gangs and drug trafficking. That usually goes with that, and the associated crimes, human trafficking, weapons trafficking, those things that are directly impacting our communities in a negative way. So that will be my focus initially. We are also working very closely with the Department of Homeland Security on several initiatives as well. One of those initiatives looks at larger transnational organized crime issues. So we're looking at the sources of drugs, sources of weapons coming into our country, and also major human trafficking networks. So that's a larger effort that has kind of a bigger scope than just here on the direct community. It definitely leans more into the idea of prevention, preventing things from coming into our community. So we're addressing that as well. But once criminal elements have access to drugs and guns, and things like that. We are definitely putting resources towards addressing those issues here that impact the community directly.
There was a push under the previous administration as well to expand federal partnerships, such as specifically on guns used in crime. Will that continue?
Absolutely. Partnerships are something we always look to forge new partnerships. We always look to strengthen our partnerships. We have major initiatives right now with the Department of Homeland Security with things like immigration and a new task force that we're working to develop. So those partnerships are going to continue, and it's not only with our federal partners, but with our state and local partners, specifically with the Indianapolis Metro Police Department, the state police, and others across the entire state. We feel that we're much more effective, and law enforcement in general is much more effective when you work in collaboration with your partners to address various problems.
You mentioned immigration, so is it my understanding then that the FBI will be playing a greater role in immigration enforcement than it has in years past?
Yes, Garrett, that's a great question, and we will be playing a greater role than we have in the past. We are authorized to enforce immigration laws, and we are working on a daily basis with our partners at DHS to enforce immigration laws. So you will see the FBI placing more emphasis in that area as we go forward.
We've heard from some immigrant communities here in Indianapolis who are very concerned that people who are here legally might get swept up in those immigration sweeps. What assurances can you offer that that will not happen?
That's a good question, and I'm glad you brought that up. When we go out and do our immigration sweeps or operations, we don't do that with the idea that we're going out and randomly talking to people or randomly trying to arrest people. It's not a random event. It's a very planned event. So when we go out, we spend a lot of time, a lot of hours prior to going out and attempting to locate and arrest someone, running intelligence reports, doing verifications, trying to identify exactly who they are and where they are. So when we go out and we do an immigration enforcement operation, there's been a great deal of effort put into making sure that we are addressing the people that deserve to be deported from the country.
To the extent that you're able to, can you explain specifically the role that the FBI will play? Because after all, historically, that's been primarily a DHS priority.
Sure. We are playing roles, various roles. So I will say that it starts with our intelligence mechanisms, our analysts who do take great efforts to search various databases and intelligence sources to first identify who is here illegally. We also utilize some of our technical folks who are good at surveillance, good at helping us to actually identify where people are through technical means and other methods. We also use our agents to go out and interview people. That's what our bread and butter is really our ability to interact with people and to do interviews. So we talk to people a lot. We try to get information that way. And then if necessary, we'll also leverage our tactical teams, our SWAT teams that if the situation requires that we could put a tactical team out on the street on a particular operation, if we're going after a violent offender or someone with a criminal history that may indicate that they're likely to react in a violent way, we'll put a tactical team out there in the street as well to help with the immigration enforcement. So we will utilize all our tools available to make sure that these things are done safely and effectively. A lot of what we do on a day-to-day basis, when you use the word sweep, I kind of hesitate a little bit at that because it implies that maybe that we are kind of more reactive and we do things quickly, and we do act quickly, but do things without a lot of planning. I just want you to know and the community to know that we spend a great deal of time doing our research, doing our investigations, collecting information so that we know exactly who we're going after that day or who we're trying to identify and arrest. Back to the idea of safety too. We want to make sure that our officers, our agents are coming home safe every day. So we will make sure that they have the tools required to make sure that they can do their work in a safe manner.
Given the controversy surrounding some of those enforcement actions, though, is there a risk that that undercuts the FBI's stated goal of rebuilding trust?
I don't think so, although I'm cognizant of that thought. But I think another way of looking at it, it builds trust with the community in another way as well. As you know, illegal immigration has been a topic that a lot of communities are not happy with either. So by actually having the FBI play a role in this mission space, by actually having the taxpayers' dollars in the form of FBI resources going towards this, it helps to also build the public's trust, knowing that we're doing the job that we're being asked to do and we're delivering results. So I view it as two sides, and building the trust of folks who want safe communities is something that we're delivering on every day.
I want to turn to something else that's been of concern, particularly to parents, and that's social media-based crime, specifically stalking, harassment, revenge porn, child sex predators. Is this something parents can contact this office directly about, and what advice do you have for them?
Absolutely. Absolutely contact the FBI about that. This is something we deal with on a daily basis. As far as advice goes, it's the same advice you've heard over and over again, is social media is a dangerous space for kids. I would suggest that parents keep a careful eye on kids' telephones, the social media accounts, try to understand what they're doing. Keep an eye on your kids. It's a dangerous world, and unfortunately, we see it every day.
And speaking of, what advice do you have for teens and young adults who are first getting onto social media?
Be careful. You don't know who's on the other end a lot of times. I know when you engage, and I have teenagers as well, that you have your trusted friends, but just know that those accounts can be taken over by other people. Just don't share anything online that you wouldn't want to come back later in life to bother you or to cause you harm. Trust is something I'd be very careful with online, because you shouldn't give that out freely online.
The Anti-Defamation League has tracked an explosion in anti-Semitic incidents since the Hamas attack in Israel on October 7th, 2023. How will your office protect Indiana's Jewish community?
It's a good question, and we engage with our Jewish community every day. We've built strong liaison relationships with the various Jewish communities in our area of responsibility in the state, and we continue to have regular engagement with them. We're very conscious of this threat, and it's something that we address on a regular basis. So we will continue to maintain very strong and close relationships with our Jewish community.
What about Palestinian Americans? I mean, shortly after that attack, we saw the fatal stabbing of a young Palestinian American boy in the Chicago area.
It's the same idea. We don't want harm to occur to anyone. We're looking at this from a safe community perspective. We don't want there to be any illegal activity against either side. So we also do our due diligence, and we also put our effort into addressing Palestinian communities as well.
We're recording this interview basically 5 years since the death of George Floyd at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer, and President Trump has rolled back many of the police accountability programs that were put in place in the aftermath of that. Will your office commit to investigating allegations of misconduct by Indiana police if called upon?
Absolutely. That's one of the missions that the FBI has, is to look into matters of corruption and civil rights violations. So that's a very high priority for the FBI, and will continue to be so, even with my comments earlier about violent crime being a high priority right now. And I want all the listeners and viewers to understand that civil rights violations, the FBI will continue to enforce and to investigate those to our full potential.
Special Agent in Charge Timothy O'Malley, thank you for letting us come in today.
You're welcome. It's nice seeing you.
That was Timothy O'Malley. He's the new Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Indianapolis Field Office. Remember, you can catch All Indiana Politics every Sunday morning at 9:30, only on Wish TV. I'm Garrett Bergquist. Thanks for listening.
From Wish TV, This is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.